get started. First, we're going to bring up Dr. Sullivan, Superintendent for Birmingham City Schools.
We got the video.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It is a pleasure for me as Superintendent of Birmingham City Schools to welcome you to the historic A.H. Parker High School. Before we get started, I want to recognize my school board members that are present. I think I see Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Sullivan, stand, wave. I don't believe we have another school board member here. I also want to recognize the principal of this school, Mr. Darrell Hudson in the back. Thank you for always being so accommodating, opening up the school, and I also want to recognize all of our staff members who are working today to make this event happen. Birmingham City Schools and Parker High School in particular was founded in 1900. This school was the first first public high school for African American students in the state of Alabama. It started with 18 students, and a few years later they had over 1,000 students. And we have been educating students on this location for over a century. So Birmingham City Schools is extremely proud of this. So I just want to welcome you to Birmingham City Schools, welcome you to Parker High School. I know that the information that you're going to get is going to be extremely meaningful. We are proud to have students here as well, because I think it's important that students understand how our democracy, how their voice can affect our democracy. You know, there are a lot of things that are going on nationally, and I don't know what your politics is, but I know as the superintendent of Birmingham City Schools, the effect that not having meals have on students. And many of our students, there are over 20,000 people in the city of Birmingham who allow SNAP benefits. Many of those individuals are students. I am the superintendent of a school system that is 100% all of our students are provided with free meals. With the government shutdown, that includes the free reduced lunch portion. So we are, as a school system, spending $1.5 million a month that's coming out of our reserves that would normally be reimbursed to us by the federal government. Hopefully when the government opens up, they'll give us a check for the back pay. But think about that. What if you're a school system that don't have the type of reserves that we have and have the needs that we have? So that's why events like this is so important, so that voice can be heard. And like I said at the beginning, it doesn't matter what your politics is, but it does matter how it affects children. These are children. And so, with that said, welcome to Parker High School, and I'm going to turn the mic over to you.
Man, I began this whole thing with John Lewis.
When you see something that is not right, not just, not fair, you have a moral obligation to say something, to do something.
He said for us to go out and cause some good trouble, necessary trouble.
At least 15 No Kings protests all around the state of Alabama.
Change does not come from Washington, it comes to Washington. You all know we didn't beat back the denial of women to have the right to vote because a bunch of men in Washington around 1900 got together and said, hey fellas, you know what, it's about time those women have the right to vote. No! We didn't get voting rights because a bunch of people in Washington said it's time for those Negro people to have the right to vote. We didn't get civil rights as Strom Thurmond came down to the Senate floor and said, I have an epiphany.
We will march with the spirit of love and with the spirit of dignity.
We must understand that we need each other. In this together.
This is America. It's not left or right, it's right or wrong.
Our children and their children will ask us, what did you do?
Let's get in good trouble. My friend, Madam President, I yield the floor.
right, good afternoon. Thank you all so much for being here. My name is Josh Coleman. I have the privilege of serving as the chair of the Jefferson County Democratic Party. We're so excited that you are all here and joining us today for a conversation. While we're sad that Senator Booker could not join us, we're excited that he's in Washington doing the job of the American people, fighting for all of us. I want to take a moment to thank Dr. Hudson, the principal here at Parker, and Dr. Sullivan, the superintendent, for being so accommodating for us, allowing us to use the space and making it available to the community. We really appreciate you all. Now that we can reach out. Note the elected officials in the room, if you could please stand. I know that Senator Linda Coleman-Madison and Senator Coleman are here, along with Commissioner Sheila Tyson. I know that we have several school board members. Thank you all so much for your representation of the Democratic Party and the people in your district. We cannot do it without you, and we really do appreciate everything that you do and for being here with us today.
Hello, everyone. I am Caroline Self, and I'm a co-founder of Blueprint Alabama with Josh. And I want to tell you very briefly about what we're doing. Earlier this year, when Trump was elected president, we realized we have to learn how to fight differently. And we have to start building a 24/7, 365-day-a-year operation infrastructure that can help elect people who want change. So that's what we've been working on. We have 3 prongs. One is we're building a brand. If you're not following us on social media, do. We are right now getting 15 to 20 million views a month across platforms. We try to stay current and really attack where we need to attack and try to lead the messaging where we need to as well. And that will continue to grow. Another thing we're doing is building bridges, just like here. We're bringing people together to talk about issues, to learn, and to get to know each other so we can work together to elect candidates. And then the third piece is we're building a bench. So we plan to, in the next year, help candidates who are running for office. And so with that, I know we've got several candidates in the office, in the audience. We would love for you all to stand, please. Even if you're considering running for office. You all so much, and this is going to be a great conversation today, so thank you for coming.
So are y'all ready to get started? I need you all to be a little bit high. We are so happy to be here in this historic high school. Again, thank you, Dr. Hudson. So we're going to bring out our panelists today, and y'all know them very well, and make sure when they come out, y'all give them a round of applause because they are fighting for us, and you all will help them in this fight. So I will bring to the stage Congresswoman Terri Sewell. And I'm bringing to the stage Senator Doug Jones.
Oh, wow. Thanks for coming, guys. I know, like you, we're all disappointed that Corey could not be here, but he has promised to come back, so we will do this again sometime. But Terri and I are going to talk just a little bit about things that we want to talk about that are going on, and then we're going to open it up. There's a lot of questions out there that I think folks have. But I told Terri I really wanted to start this out, and because I think it's important to say something that does not get said enough, and that is, Congresswoman, thank you. Thank you. That goes to Congressman Figures, and it goes to all the Democrats right now in Washington, particularly in the House. And this is where we want to start. We're going to start with this shutdown, but folks need to understand that Terri and Shamari and Democrats have been working every day during this shutdown. They've not been at home like your local. People in Washington do their job. That's right. You know, while there are the criticism, though, we got furloughed workers that are also working that are not getting paid. We got Republicans in Congress that aren't working and are getting paid. And that's just wrong. So, Terri, thank you. And let's talk about, where do you think things stand on the government right now and opening back up?
Well, let me just say, you know, Doug wears many hats, but he will always be our forever senator from Alabama. So we're in day 38 of the shutdown. And let me just start by saying, nobody wins in a shutdown. I know that, they know that, Democrats know that, Republicans know that. And all of us are feeling the pain and the angst. Let me just start there. But I also want you to know that there has been no continuing resolution or budget agreement that hasn't been bipartisan. We need a bipartisan solution that protects health care, that fully funds SNAP, to reopen government. That's what we need. And I cannot tell you how, you know, you may have seen me all around the district talking to food banks and food pantries because I want people to know where to go. We know that 750,000 Alabamians are being affected with SNAP. We know that TSA workers and the air traffic controllers and my staff, federal employees, are working without pay. And I understand that that is a huge sacrifice and a big, big struggle. But I also know that we are in month number 10. We got 3.5 more years ago of this presidency. And he has got to understand that he is not the president of just those people who voted for him. He's the president of all of us. And when some of us hurt, all of us hurt. And he should care about that and want to do something about that. So I just want you all to know that I know you sent me to Washington to do the hard stuff, not the easy stuff. And this is hard right now. It is hard right now. I can't tell you how many sleepless nights I've had. But I also know that we cannot accept any agreement that does not protect the Affordable Care Act and those tax cuts. I will accept any extension, but no extension is unacceptable. And I don't trust that the other side will do what they say. Oh, we're going to negotiate if you reopen government. Have they done that? Have they done that in the 10 months that the government was open? No. So the reality is that we don't trust each other, and the reality is that this government will not be reopened until the ultimate arbitrator, the president, gets engaged. And for him to actually have his Justice Department and his Solicitor General fighting, fully funding SNAP is unbelievable to me. Especially when you think about the fact that he's willing to spend $40 as we fight to make sure that we get a bipartisan. So,
Terri said 2 or 3 things I want to talk about. First of all, she used the word trust 2 or 3 times. And I'm going to tell you, everybody talks about the partisanship in Washington, D.C. and around the country, but that's always been there to some extent. What's really missing in Washington right now is trust. You can have partisanship and trust someone to talk to you and do things. The trust factor is really at its lowest level that I know of. The other thing Terri mentioned about the shutdown and how it's affecting the SNAP benefits, people need to remember that the President of the United States has the ability to fund SNAP. He doesn't need to be told by a judge or the Supreme Court or anybody else. He can do that right now. There are emergency funds to do it. But Terri, I think one of the things that folks are not completely clear about that I've talked to is that what is it that the Democrats are holding out? We see all of this misinformation out there that we are doing nothing but trying to give benefits that are not available now, but we want to give benefits to folks that are not in the country legally, that are not
That's not true. It's against the law to do that. It's just a distraction. It's a lie. It's a lie.
But the important, and to follow on that, what Democrats are doing is that in the bill, as I understand it, in a bill that was passed by Republicans, they took away the ability for hospitals to get reimbursed if they treat anyone that is not documented in an emergency situation. In other words, there was a law passed in the 1980s that Ronald Reagan signed into law that required every hospital to treat anyone that walks through their doors with an emergency situation, whether they could pay for it or not.
That's just humane.
That is America, okay? That's America. And so, but they could get reimbursed by the federal government. And that's, the Democrats are only saying, we want to reimburse hospitals for their costs that by law they have got to incur. So that's number one. The other thing is procedurally, look, we're in a situation where we're fighting for health care, we're fighting for things, but Republicans say, well, wait a minute, we'll give you a vote on that. We'll give you a vote to put the subsidies in.
But they control every lever of government.
Exactly.
They control the White House, they control the House, the Senate, and truth be told, the Supreme Court is leaning toward their way. So the reality is that this president can open up government tomorrow if he will just do the right thing. This is not about blue versus red, it's about right versus wrong.
And right versus wrong is important in the United States of America, I will tell you. And with regard to those health care benefits, remember the benefits that have been taken away, these subsidies that were taken away, they were taken away in a Republican-dominated legislature just recently, just in the last 10 months. And the only way to put those back, they keep telling folks, well, we'll give you a vote. They've already voted on them, and they took them away. So the only way in today's world in the Congress of the United States is to basically put what you need and what you demand onto what's known as a must-pass bill, which is what appropriations is and what these CRs are doing. And y'all don't think it wrong of us, but I've been told that for the cameras and all, Terri and I need to sit a little closer together. So we're going to scoot together.
Tell Louise I'm just scooting over.
We know how to take directions.
But what's interesting is that the Republicans have been trying to take away the Affordable Care Act since its inception, and yet they don't have a policy or plan to replace it. And the fact of the matter is, I believe that health care should be a basic human right for every American in this great country. If European countries and all these industrial nations can seem to figure out how to make sure that every one of their citizens have access to affordable health care, then why can't we? The reality is that we are bought and owned by our pharmaceutical companies, our insurance companies, and all this other stuff. But the fact of the matter, if we had the will, we could get it done. So where I sit, 24 million Americans depend upon the ACA for their health insurance. I had a farmer come up to me, Doug, in one of my town halls, who literally came up and he said, I've never had insurance, health insurance. I'm a third-generation farmer in the Black Belt. Never had health insurance, and someone knocked on my door, it was a navigator, and asked if I would sign up for this affordable, they told me it was the Affordable Care Act. Had they told me it was Obamacare, I probably wouldn't have gotten it, is what he said. And just because everything's so politicized. And the reality is that literally 6 months after he got his health insurance, his hand was almost torn off in a hay baler 6 months later. So not only did Affordable Care save his hand, it saved his farm as well. And so what I'm saying to you is that 400,000 Alabamians also depend upon the Affordable Care Act. And all of us should care about this because all of our premiums are going up and have gone up. All of us are getting our rate sheets. I was telling Doug that one person from Wilcox County sent me his rate sheet that he received from the Blue Cross Blue Shield. And his plan was a gold plan, and he paid $188 for it per month. Now, if he's going to renew it under 2026 premiums, $1,500 without tax. Who can afford that? So what's going to happen? We're anticipating that half of the people will choose not to get health insurance at all. Now, if that happens, that means all of us are spreading the cost of the emergency room care, end-of-life care. People at the end, they're going to get health care if there's an emergency. And all of us are going to share that. So all of our premiums are going up, is what I'm saying. It just doesn't, just because you are not on the Affordable Care Act doesn't mean that you're not affected by it.
Terry, what do you think's on the horizon? I know that, Corey couldn't come down here today because the Senate has still been in session.
Yeah.
And they are taking some votes today, although I don't anticipate anything monumental to go. Where do you see this going, let's just say between now and Thanksgiving?
Well, I think first and foremost, the continuing resolution, the bill that the House passed September 19th, that's right, we have not been in session since September 19th. That bill that's currently before the Senate, and Thune has put it up 15 times, Senator Thune has put it up 15 times. The fact of the matter is the only guardrails, the only thing that's stopping this is the Senate. You know, the House of Representatives is a pure majority to pass a piece of legislation. 50% plus 1, so that's 218 votes. And the Republicans have 221 votes. So they just ramshacked us September 19th. You go over to the Senate and there's some archaic rule that I was really upset about when I had the John Robert Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. We really wanted Democrats, when we were in the majority, to pass it. I know you know. But I have to tell you, that's the only thing that's holding us together. Why? Because in the Senate, they have to have 60 senators agree to put any legislation on the floor. And they only have 53 Republican senators. So they have to persuade 7 Democrats to go their way. In other words, the filibuster is the protection of the voices of the minority party.
Yeah, and Terry was right. Back in the last administration, at one point, there was a lot of effort, especially the first 2 years when Democrats had the House and the Senate, to get rid of the filibuster. And there was, I will tell you there was 2 vocal senators, but there was a lot of other U.S. senators on the Democratic side who saw that as not necessarily a great thing and tried to find a way to make some changes to the filibuster. The filibuster is actually a rule that cuts off debate. Okay, a filibuster is when you just talk and talk like Cory Booker did forever. That's kind of a filibuster. Okay, but for legislation to actually get voted on, the Senate has to take a vote to end debate, and that's called the cloture vote. And it requires 60 votes, and it's on just about everything except the reconciliation, some budget matters, and nominations. That's right, and nominations. And so there is a sigh of relief right now that is as hard as it was to see things under the Biden administration not be fulfilled. Thank God right now, because it takes 60 votes to get this thing done.
And do you think that the president's calling on the nuclear option, which is to get rid of it?
Well,
what do you think your the Republican senators, how do you think that they will vote?
Well, there's a couple of things about that. First of all, the Senate today is significantly different on that side of the aisle than even when I was there. You lost people like Jeff Flake and Bob Corker and so many others, and you've got more. You got more Tubervilles on that side that just take marching orders rather than think for themselves. And so I'm worried about it. I think that there's going to be more pressure from the President Trump in his first term wanted to nuke the filibuster then. And it was Mitch McConnell and some establishment Republicans that said no. And so I worry about it a good bit. But I just got to believe that there is enough, all you need is 4 Republicans to say, no, we're not going to do. And I know that you've got Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, and Mitch McConnell. And I believe there's more that just, Tillis, Tillis, and that's 4 right there. So I don't think, I really don't think that'll happen. I hope not.
Well, in terms of what's going to happen, in my opinion, well, a couple of things. The Democrats have got to stay united. If we are divided, and that's what happened in March. You remember when the House, we voted, so they're asking me to vote in favor of a continuing resolution that came up in March that I voted not just no, but hell no. Because it had already cut NIH funding by $300 million. It cut PBS and all this other stuff. So it's not, when they say it's a clean bill, it's not a clean bill. And frankly, the fact of the matter is that a continuing resolution means that all we're doing is kicking the can down the road and still having the 2024 budget. Inflation has happened. And we're still living under the 2024 budget. We didn't pass a budget in 2025. That's unacceptable. And it's unacceptable to continue to live in 2026 with 2024 funding. We need to fully fund government, is what we need to do. And the only way we can do that is by passing a budget. And budgets are a reflection of our values, right? And I'm sorry, it can't be the values of just one party. It has to be our shared values as Americans.
I think before we get to some of your questions, I want to pivot to one other item that was kind of in the news this past week, and that is the elections.
Tuesday was a good time for us.
So, I know y'all have heard me talk about it, Terry's done it. So many people have talked about how Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. Well, I got to tell you, folks, Tuesday, he was the driving force for democracy because he drove people to the polls. And we went, and you had the race in Virginia, the race in New Jersey. The New Jersey race was supposed to be close.
2 women governors?
Two. Double-digit wins. You had a big win in New York City, but you significantly, for Alabama, you had California and Prop 50, which I heard Eric Swalwell to say. He said, I called it Prop Fairness, okay? And significantly for folks in Alabama and the South, you had 2 Public Service Commission seats with Democrats in Georgia. The Mississippi legislature flipped from a supermajority. It was good enough.
It wasn't just Abigail that won in Virginia. I think the real story is to look back and see that Democrats split 13 seats in the House, and what do they call them? They call it the delegate, House of Delegates. And that's their state legislature. So now all of a sudden we have they have a super majority in Virginia, the Democrats do. But we can't rest on our laurels because we have to win another day. I think the biggest prize will be the midterm elections. We definitely have to have control of one of those levers of government, and it's critically important that we do get there.
I want y'all to remember something, and Terry's right, we can't rest. But when you have an event that puts the wind at your back, then you got to take it, you got to grab it, you got to seize it. And I want y'all to remember this. We had big wins in Virginia and New Jersey in 2017. Ralph Northam won in Virginia. You had Phil Murphy win in New Jersey. But what really put the wind in people's sails around this country was when Alabama sent a Democratic sit-down to the United States Senate. And the next thing you know, we're taking the House, we're taking governor's races. But here's a big difference. And this is something that we've got to get colleagues around the country and in Alabama thinking about. There are so many folks right now that are election deniers, that are running election boards and things like this. We've got to make sure that we not only work to win these elections, we've got to make sure that the will of the people prevails and that we get these votes certified. And that's going to be a challenge.
I know. That's why being poll workers, all of us have a role to play. All of us have a role to play. And I have to tell you, I think it's because of the wind in our backs that this weekend I don't think that we will break. But it's going to be harder and harder if they're not willing to, if the Republicans are not willing to even talk to us. I mean, the reality is that that this president has only spent 45 minutes with Leader Jeffries and Leader Schumer in the White House. And yet he spent hours with all of these foreign dignitaries, right? And he did 45 minutes. And I really don't believe that government will reopen until he engages. And I don't know how much pain he wants to inflict in order to engage. But that's where I think we are.
I gotta tell you, when he was over in Asia, I kept thinking when he got that crown thing, I kept thinking, like, my kids used to have those little crowns when we went to Burger King. And then we just get him one of those. So how am I going to do questions here, guys? Can we, you got a mic over there? Oh, you good? Okay, that's good. Because
all right, y'all took the first question about the election this past week, so
well, look, Josh, on the election, folks, this was big. This was really big, double digits. And importantly, for whoever's talking about California, the fact of the margin of victory, not just on that gerrymandering, but it was so big. But if you look, remember that when Texas and some of these folks move votes around to try to gerrymander, they're moving Republican votes out of some districts. And normally, if you're gerrymandering, you're looking at a safe district of about 5 points, 6 points, maybe 7. Hell, we won by 13, 15, 17. We can win these gerrymandered districts is the point of all this.
Okay. Hello. So we have a question from Jeffrey, and any one of you all can take this. It says, pundits say the issue of democracy does not resonate in young people. Can we move them to embrace the loss of democracy is key. I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to say. It's key to our way of life. How do we make it important to them? Where's Jeffrey? Wave your hand.
I think Corey's calling the center.
I got, hey, hang on, let me see if I can put this dang thing on. Somebody that might can answer the question about democracy and whatever. Yeah, this was planned, guys, but I got on the phone here my great friend, the Honorable Cory Booker. Say hello, Cory.
Hello, everybody.
Can y'all hear? So
I can't see you right now, but I know this is what democracy looks like.
And we are assuming that you are in Washington, D.C., saving democracy.
I am fighting with all that I have, and I know that I don't fight alone. We saw these last elections from coast to coast, from north to south, that the power of the people is greater than the people in power.
Yes.
We're
counting on you, Cory, to hold the line for us. We're counting on you, Terri.
I'm one senator trying to convince everybody to do that, to hold the line. And I know the more active we are together in the grassroots, that we're all foot soldiers right now for our republic. We're foot soldiers for justice. We're foot soldiers for fairness. And to me, that's the only hope our country has ever had. From the suffrage movement to the civil rights movement, from the abolition movement to the labor movement, change has always come because of foot soldiers like the ones in that room right now.
Well, Cory, look, we got a bunch of folks here that are clearly disappointed that you didn't make it. There's a lot of folks that had wanted to come, that see and hear me and Terri all the time, so they didn't make it. But the one big question that I think everybody's got is, are you going to come back?
Yeah.
Listen, Terri and I have talked about this for years, as you and I done. Alabama, to me, is one of the most important states for the future of our country. The Democrats nationally have neglected Alabama for too long. We need to start building there.
All right.
I'm proud of the two of you, and I look forward to
And Corey, this is Terri Sewell. Listen, will we stick together as Democrats over the weekend in the Senate?
I hope so. I'm really worried that there's some that are trying to find a deal that wouldn't achieve our goal of lowering healthcare costs. No. So that's why I'm here now fighting to try to get folks to hold the line.
Will you tell them that Alabama, the blue dot in Alabama tells them to fight, and hold the line.
All right, well, look, thanks so much for calling in, buddy. We will see you soon. Hang in there. Keep fighting the good fight. Cause a little good trouble up there, Corey.
I will. Thank you, everybody. Take care now. Okay, we can go now.
Back to our regular schedule. That was awesome. So I guess the question was, how do we make democracy resonate with the younger generation? How do we bring that back? Because they feel it's lost.
You know, Doug and I had an opportunity to talk to some young Democrats. I think they're in the front row. Y'all stand up. We got a chance to talk to them. But we've got a chance to talk to them earlier, and that was a question that was raised. Wanted to know, how can we, why is it that we seem to be going backwards? And the fact of the matter is, progress is elusive. Every generation has to fight and fight like hell to hold on to the progress that we've made, or we will lose it. I think that the anxiety that all of us are feeling is that this is our collective watch. We only get one time at this thing called life. And this is on our collective watch. We're seeing ourselves go backwards, rewriting history, banning books. I mean, the efforts against diversity, equity, inclusion. I mean, I could go on and on and on. So the anxiety is real. But here's what I know. Our district, better than any other district, Alabama more than any other state, understands that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary social change if we stand up and fight for what we know is right. We have to be our own change agent. We can't wait for someone on high to come down and save us. We are the people that we're looking for. And I do believe that we understand how fragile democracy is. And we also know that our foremothers and forefathers, they were tacticians and strategists. They just didn't happen upon Birmingham and Montgomery and Selma. They made it happen. And so as much angst as I know all of us feel, I also know that that angst can be turned into opportunity. And that opportunity is ours to grasp if we're willing to stand up and say and do what we know is right. Absolutely. What did John Lewis say? If you see something wrong, stand up. Push back. We've got to do something about it.
And I want to follow up too with, for the y'all, the older Democrats in here, and I think there's a few out there. You'll remember Tip O'Neill used to say all politics is local. For young folks, you don't know who that is, look him up. But all politics is local, but all politics today is personal. And we get folks, especially younger folks, to understand democracy by understanding things that are important to them on a very personal level. Their education, their jobs, their opportunities in the family. We have to be more patriotic. We have to talk about that. This country has gone through a lot of trials and tribulations. We have gone through a series. Women didn't even have the right to vote until 1919. African Americans didn't have the full right to vote until 1965. And so this is a work in progress. Democracy, though, that we've got to tell people, and we've got to convince younger folks, is worth saving, because that, more than any other form of government in the history of the world, is about community, it's about family, it's about sharing, it's about dignity for everyone and everybody, with everybody having an equal shot at the American dream. We've got to get, and somebody said it in our little round table, civic education. We've got to get people being more patriotic. We need to learn to be Americans before we are Republicans or Democrats. And that's what I'm saying.
got a few questions, so these next ones we'll just do rapid fire if that's okay with everybody. The next question is, my entire voting life I've spent... All right. My entire voting career, I've heard the phrase "vote blue no matter who." I voted for several Democrats, but Democratic leaders refused to endorse Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani in New York. My question is, does vote blue no matter who apply to only voters, or is it also elected officials? But I want to take it a step further. Is there a reason why that someone would not seek an endorsement from a leader? Can you explain a little bit about that?
Look, let me say this. There are a lot of reasons that someone may not endorse. And I want people to remember this. It's easy to talk about us. We used to, when it was an older generation, we used to say, I'd vote for I was a yellow dog Democrat. I'd vote for a yellow dog before any Republican. I do think that as we become more diverse and we become a bigger tent, people have to do what they feel like is in their best interest. And I know there's a lot of criticisms about folks in New York that may not have endorsed Mamdani over Cuomo, for God's sakes. But I also want y'all to think back. And you can give some folks a little bit of a leeway and not be so critical. Because let me tell you something that happened for those that you remember. In 2017, a Republican United States Senator from the state of Alabama went on national television and said, I am not going to vote for Roy Moore.
Richard Shelby.
He said, he went on national television, folks, and said, I'm going to vote. In other words, I'm not going to endorse the Republican nominee for the United States Senate, a spot which he really wanted to hold for Republicans at that time, because it was a thin margin. And he said, I'm going to write in a good Republican. And he did. And there were 22,000 write-ins. And I won by 21,000 votes. Okay? So, I don't think everybody should be so critical. And we are in a big tent right now, and people have to make their own judgments about who to endorse, who not to endorse. Voting is a different matter. And we want as many folks to rally around our candidates as possible. But I will tell you, and Terry can tell you too, there could be some folks that if they were running Alabama, I'm not sure I would endorse, just because they were a Democrat. That's just human nature. And if I had been a Republican in 2017, I would not have endorsed Roy Moore with all his problems. So we've got to be a little bit more forgiving for individuals and let them make their own and not hold it against them. Work for who you want to work for. Work hard for who you want to work for. And if they get an endorsement, great. But if they don't, just keep working. Make sure that your candidate wins.
Okay. Thank you. So this next question, Congresswoman, and I remember at CBC, I think you spoke about this. So this is from Saj. What can be done to strengthen the Voting Rights Act, given how much gerrymandering has impacted us at both local and state levels? Do Democrats have any future bills planned for this in Congress?
So let me just say what's operating right now is several things. We have a Supreme Court decision that's going to be rendered, I think, in June about a Louisiana case. Now, let me back up. We in Alabama should be damn proud that 2 years ago, in the Milligan case, we stepped up. This is our state. I'll never forget when Eric Holder and Barack Obama came to me and they said, well, who among you all that are in these southern states with large African-American voters are willing to put their seat on the line? Well, I'm from Alabama, I'm from Selma, I represent Birmingham, and I used to Montgomery, and I said, I will. So, why? Because here's the thing, we have got to make sure that the vote of the minority is not diluted. Because the browning of America is coming, and that who is in the majority today may be in the minority tomorrow. You hear what I'm saying? So it's not just about legislation. We have to watch very carefully what's going on in the Supreme Court. Because after the Milligan case, which said that the Voting Rights Act was alive and well, Section 2 was alive and well, that's what it said. Well, why did they come back with this Louisiana case? And the Supreme Court granted cert on one particular issue. So 4 Louisianans, white Louisianans, came and filed a lawsuit saying that majority-minority districts disenfranchised them was a violation of the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Now let me tell you something. If they rule that, which, I don't want to get into the legalese, but I just want you to know that Section 2 is about a remedy. If the problem is voter discrimination, the reason why people are not is voter discrimination, that's about race. And you can't remedy it without considering race. It's just ridiculous that this is coming before the Supreme Court, and I think that we all hope and pray that it goes our way, but if it doesn't, it means seats like Corey's, seats like mine will go away, and states like Alabama and their state legislature will gerrymander us out. Because the law says that political gerrymandering is okay.
Which leads me to my answer. We just got to outwork them, folks. Okay? We have got to play the hand we're dealt. And we're not going to be dealt a good hand. The Supreme Court, that handwriting is on the wall with what folks are doing. But we've just like everybody we were still upset about voting IDs and things like that. We learned to organize around it. We learned to do things. And if you look at what happened, go to some of the things you see on the news and look at the incredible statistics that came out of Tuesday's elections, where minority communities that had drifted toward Donald Trump and the MAGA movement came back in a big hurry, only 12 months later. So we have to play the hand we're dealt, and it's not going to be a good one. That means we're going to have to just work harder. We're going to have to work harder to get people registered. We're going to have to work harder to keep people engaged. We're going to have to work harder to get people to the polls. And that's how you get, not necessarily...
And we have to vote like our life depends upon it.
Because it does.
We have to vote. No matter if it's raining outside or it's sunny outside, no matter if it's a local election or a state election or a county election, we have to vote. And in terms of legislation, as long as I have breath in me and you re-elect me, I will continue to be the lead sponsor of the John Robert Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, which will fully restore the protections of the Voting Rights Act.
All right, what will it take for Republicans to stop bending the knee to the orange man?
They better just watch the damn news. They better read what happened on Tuesday and understand that their seats that they thought might be safe are no longer safe. We not only, after Tuesday, if you look and extrapolate those numbers the way we do, we've got a chance not only of taking the House, we got a chance of taking the Senate, and we got a chance of electing statewide office holders like governors and lieutenant governors in places that you never heard, like Alabama and South Carolina and Mississippi. So that's what it's going to take. Tuesday's election is what I think it took for that. Jeff Flake, my former colleague from Arizona, had an op-ed, had a piece in the Washington Post called the Great Republican Migration. People are going to start changing their tunes, I think, Terry.
I pray.
The orange man. What are we doing to get more candidates running as Dems in Alabama? How is the party investing in successfully winning elections? Thank you, John, for the questions.
Well, I think that we collectively have to put forth candidates that can win in the districts that they're running in. What do I mean by that? We know that North Alabama is prime defense contractor. We need people to step up who are Democrats that are generals or retired generals or whatever. We've got to make sure that we are recruiting Democrats who can win these swing districts. That's first and foremost. And we have to be in the arena in order to actually have a chance. So we cannot let seats go unanswered without having a Democrat there. I'm just going to tell you. And those seats may look like they're not winnable, but as Doug said, when the wind is at your back, you never know. We have to be out there in the arena in order to win. And so, look, I know that sometimes it looks really bleak in Alabama. But I can't tell you how much Doug's election really taught us that when we pull together and they don't, and we take advantage of that, we can win and we can win big. Not just in the Senate, but also in statewide elections like governor.
Absolutely. Look, I don't think, guys, look, let's just be candid. As we go into 26, there's going to be a lot of money spent to take back the House. There's going to be a lot of money spent to take back the Senate. So there's not going to be as much money coming into states unless you've got a congressional district or a Senate seat that's up. Let's just be candid. So what that means is that we got to do it. We've got to put, and I like to quote this all the time with John Lewis. John used to say, he used to quote the old African proverb, when you pray, move your feet. But then he said, if we want to maintain the beloved community, we've got to move our feet and our hearts and our hands and everything else. We're going to have to do this. We can't wait. There is no national cavalry that's going to come save us right now. We've got to circle the wagons ourselves. We got to defend this like we've never done before. And if you look at the opportunities that exist in Alabama, every statewide constitutional office is going to be open either because someone is retiring and turned out, or they're not going to run for another election. We've got the entire state legislature that's going to be reelected, and there are some districts that we have some real opportunities to do if we can find credible candidates. If we can find credible candidates, we can make them competitive. And then we have opportunities, and we've got, this is the opportunity to build. This year is the opportunity to build because we do have the wind in our back.
We do, but I want to just say before we end this, the same group of young Democrats that stood up, I need you to have a season of service. I'm not saying you necessarily have to run for something, but to whom much is given, much is required. And your generation has to understand that you're going to take the baton from us, and you need to be prepared. Right. And it comes with starting to advocate on that which you believe. Find something that you believe in and advocate like hell for it. Join campaigns. There's so much, whatever you call community needs your talents, your skills. God knows they need your ability to do social media. So there's lots of opportunities to give of yourself. So I'm asking you, I'm begging you actually, please have a season of service. And you women, please run. Let me just say, they say that women have to be asked 6 times before they even consider running. So I'm looking at you all in the face. Please run, please run, please run. Please run, please run, please run. Please, please, please run.
Ditto, 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 ditto.
Once Democrats take back the House and the Senate, will you all support the PRO Act to give workers the right to form a union without...
Hell yes.
Of course.
Do you support raising the minimum wage?
Yes. Why don't you throw a softball or two?
Okay. How will you work to advance environmental justice and protect the vulnerable communities that bear a disproportional burden of pollution from industrial sites?
Look, that is going to be a growing problem, okay? The first way you do to protect it is you put people in office that can vote and put forth legislation.
You believe in science.
And believe in science.
Climate change.
The bottom line is, other than lawsuits, right now we're behind the curve because they're going to dismantle all the rules and regulations. Our state doesn't really give a damn about it anyway. Thank God the federal government has protected. We got to put people in office. We got to, everything goes back to the vote, to the vote, to the vote.
So, do you think it's a good idea to ask local kids to write to the governor and commissioners asking them to save Alabama Public TV?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And adults too. We've got to do a serious campaign. And I don't know, I think Doug will agree with me. When you write your congressperson, their office logs that in, whether it's an email, I can only, and it matters. When they're voting on something, I can only tell you that if you're not telling your elected official how you feel, how can you expect them to represent you? So what I'm saying is, all of us should do that. And I think that little kids, especially in Alabama, should be doing that. And frankly, Republicans should be too, because last time I checked, all of that Capitol Journal and all of that other stuff, that's what? That's public television.
And my only caveat to that is I absolutely think they should do it, but I think they should make a copy of it and they send it to the media.
Yes,
and put it on social media. Let folks know that children in this state are concerned. They're smart enough to know, and they hear, and they're concerned about the planet that they're going to live and grow up in.
The Latino community is under attack across the country. Over the last 2 decades, the Latino community in Alabama has grown. How can we increase visibility in the state and come together to support this community affected by education and business industries?
We have to realize that when the least of these among us if there's injustice anywhere, it affects justice everywhere. And we have to coalition build. It may have been the poor Irish immigrant yesterday, and then the black yesterday, now the Hispanic today. What I'm saying to you is, what goes around can come around, and we have to learn that we are all in this together, and it's important to uplift every community, but especially those communities that share commonalities with us.
And a couple of things. We've got to enlist businesses who employ a lot of these people.
Yes.
A lot of Hispanics are employed in this state, whether they are documented or not, and they serve this state well. And we've got to get businesses to speak up. We've got to support those organizations like HICA and others that are been very supportive of the movement. And also we've got to get look, one of the things that we've got to do is we've got to get our public officials to just make sure that there is no community that gets demonized the way that the Hispanic community has been demonized by this administration. And we go back and it's little things. It's little things. 25 years ago, when I was the United States Attorney, and you got to travel back in time, this was not really an issue in 1999 and 2000. It was, you could see some issues that were starting to bubble up. But we had a jurisdiction in Alabama, a police jurisdiction, that was arresting undocumented Hispanics because they were going across the county line to buy beer, and they bring it back, and they had just gotten paid. And these police officers were stopping them, shaking them down, taking their money, their hard-earned money, taking the liquor, not arresting them, just shaking them down. And
that's happening now, Doug.
I know, and we put some of those in jail.
People are afraid to send their children to school because of what's going on in ICE and all this other stuff. I just can't believe that we're still living, that we live in America and this is happening. Total takeover of Chicago?
Right.
Give me a break.
We've just got to continue to support and speak up and not be afraid to protect people and understand there is worth and dignity in every human being.
One of the last couple of questions.
Last one.
This one is there any truth to the conversation happening about election interference in the 2024 election?
Oh my God, yes. Look, one of the challenges that I think we're going to face around the country that we did not face in the scale that we're going to face now. And I alluded to this earlier. We've got election deniers that are controlling election boards. We've got legislatures. We've got governors. We've got attorney generals that are going to do everything we can. We've got a Speaker of the House of Representatives who refuses to swear in a duly elected Democrat. Okay? So remember, it is the House of Representatives that determines who can be in the House. And so there is a lot of concern that there is going to be that.
disinformation and misinformation.
Absolutely.
We haven't talked about that. But what's scary is that there are lies floating around the internet that no one's checking. And it's scary that people can literally get their news from one source all the way down, from who you read, what you watch on podcasts, what your telephone, and it's scary. Because I lived in that bubble. I thought that Kamala Harris, I didn't think that she would ever lose every one, all 7 battleground states. Was I just in a bubble during that time?
Yeah, we all were, but remember this. Think about what happened Tuesday. The bottom line is this. We got to win elections in such a way that's big enough that they can't take it away. That's the bottom line.
Well, we're getting ready to close out, but this $1 million question was sitting in the stack. So, Joy from Hueytown, this is for Senator Jones. Will you run for governor of Alabama?
Look, I appreciate that. I appreciate the question. Stay tuned.
And stay blue.
So we're going to bring Caroline up.
Caroline?
And we're about to get ready to close out, but we're going to bring Caroline back up. Everybody give Senator Jones and Congresswoman Terri Sewell.
And thank you both so much for this. This has been wonderful for everyone. And I think the question is, where do we go from here, right? We have elections in less than a year. So I encourage all of you to get involved. We will have lots more events like this through Blueprint. If you sign up for our list, we will keep you up to date for how you can volunteer. And also, we do need your help. So if you are inspired by this event and have $10, $25, or whatever to give, there are QR codes, 25,000 as Josh said. There are QR codes in the lobby, and we sure would appreciate it. We really want to build an infrastructure that's going to help our candidates and help make sure that we see some Democrats elected next November.
Thank y'all. Thank you very much.